Ladies and gentlemen, looking back on 2020, this year was painful, it was exhausting, it was disorienting. I'm sure we can each think of many other words to describe this year. And yet, we are looking out to a new secular year, 2021, a year that we hope will be a year that brings healing in so many ways that we require healing. So the first thing I want to do is to just take a breath and to invite everybody to just take a breath at the beginning of this new year. The second thing that I would like to do is to invite us to consider how Yosef HaTzadik, Joseph, our father, the righteous, can teach us how to move forward into this secular new year. Joseph's response to his life's challenges, some of them were of his own making, some of them had to do with circumstances beyond his control, some of them had to do with him being the object of the cruelty of other people. Joseph's response has a lot to teach us. Joseph, as we know, was sold into bondage by his brothers. He rose up. He was brought low. He rose up again. Combination of circumstance and his own talent and effort. And he puts pressure on his brothers. He puts them through the paces, possibly as a form of revenge, possibly to see if they have repented and grown in terms of their own behavior, possibly a combination of both. He has endured a great deal in terms of the separation that he has had to endure from his family. Ultimately, he reveals himself to his brothers. And then there is a remarkable moment that I believe is a learning moment for all of us. The father, Jacob, dies, and the brothers are panicked. And they believe that this is the time that Joseph will truly take revenge, that he will in fact harm them, even kill them. And they send words to him saying, Father Jacob told you to take care of us and to treat us well. And he gathers them together and he says the following, which is extraordinary. He says, Al tira'u ki hatachat Elohim anochi. Do not have any fear. Am I a substitute for God? And then he goes on, V'atem chashavtem alai ra'ah, Elohim chashava l'tova, lema'an aseh kayom hazeh lachayot am rav. Besides, although you intended to harm me, God intended it for good, so as to bring about the present result, which is the survival of many people. And then atem al tira'u, don't be afraid, anochi achalkel etchem ve'et tapchem. I will provide for you and for your children. So let's just take a look at what we can learn from his extraordinary comments to his brother. First, he's saying, I'm not God. It is not up to me to judge you. It is not up to me to punish you. Second, he's saying, you meant to harm me. I'm not going to whitewash the past. I'm going to name it. To forgive doesn't mean to forget. But third, he says, God had a different plan. God wanted things to work out well. Fourth, God's plan was that I should be helpful to other people. My descent into Egypt, which you are largely responsible for, led me to a place where I could be of service to an entire nation, and I can also be helpful to you. Joseph does two things which cause tremendous maturity, which show tremendous maturity. He is no longer the cocky teenager that he once was. First of all, while he doesn't whitewash the past, he also doesn't allow himself to remain the victim of the past. He could easily have remained mired in his victimhood. Look what you did to me. I am the object of your cruelty. I am the object of circumstances beyond my control. And instead, he transcends the role of victim. He becomes an agent. He is now somebody who will be able to fulfill God's will. How often do we allow ourselves to become paralyzed by our own victimhood? People did us wrong and we can't let it go. Often that bitterness, as Maya Angelou famously said, is more damaging to us than it is to anybody else. Joseph, it seems, is able to let that go. Secondly, Joseph demonstrates that he is able to look outward. He is not just thinking about himself, he is thinking about his capacity to have a positive impact on other people. How often do we get stuck in our own misfortune and we fail to see that other people also need help? And not only that, we have the capacity to offer that help. Doing that actually liberates us. It helps us to realize, first of all, that other people also have misfortune. It helps us to understand and gives us the empowerment that comes from understanding that we can be helpful to other people. And finally, it's the right thing to do to look outward and to offer help to other people. In the midst of these challenging times, we as a community have tried to look outward. On one particular recent Sunday, we had a blood drive going on, a bone marrow screening going on, and a drive-up food drive. All of that allowing us to put our energy into looking outward and to offering help and to support to other people. It is completely understandable during challenging times to look inward. It is completely understandable to recognize ourselves as the objects of misfortune. And that is fine. And that is understandable so long as that doesn't take over. We cannot allow our understanding of ourselves as victims or as objects of misfortune to paralyze us from helping ourselves and also from reaching outward to help other people. We who have suffered in different ways in 2020, we who are exhausted physically and emotionally, I urge us to look to the example of Joseph. Joseph, who was able to see himself as an agent for his own life and for the lives of other people. I urge us to find our inner strength the way that Joseph did, and to use that strength to make life better for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for other people. Ultimately, lahachayot am rav, to be a source of life for many, many people. Let 2021 be a year when we can identify our strength and reach outward and build and enhance life for everyone. Shabbat Shalom.